Now, news stats, and that is going to be the most compelling evidence I have for you today. I would suggest that you set aside your beliefs about how to retain employees. You set aside some of your beliefs about what they are looking for, and I'm going to give you some information and some insights, and we're going to hack into the mind of your newest applicants and your future applicants. You all have a little picture in your mind of some of the variances in hiring procedures, and it's pretty traditional, right? Everybody's a little similar. I know that many organizations will apply the tests, you know, the math tests and the layout tests and whatever skill tests you need as well along the way. There's background checks and all of that. So I want to point out, though, that there is a sea change in the way that hiring is taking place today, and those who are very successful in getting the applicant that's going to stay versus those who get an applicant that, you know, 3, 5 years, whatever might be the time that they're with you, and then they move on again. So let's talk about that sea change in the marketplace. First of all, it costs today about $4,000 and 52 days to fill a position. That's the average nationwide. As much as 80% of employee turnover is due to bad hiring decisions. 80%. So there's something there that we can tackle, and that's what we're going to work on today. You will experience some frustration and attrition if you don't know what your future employees and applicants are looking for in your company. And it's a little different than it used to be. In some ways, it's very different. You want to attract the best. You may not even be getting the applicants to respond to you right now, the best applicants. Remember, they're off the market in 10 days, and they know what they're looking for. And you may not have pushed their buttons. So we're going to talk about exactly what buttons you need to push with them. And vetting the best. This is a biggie. By utilizing social media tools in new ways with a new focus, you will achieve greater retention and a better quality employee, and that has been proven. Right now, in this room, is there anybody who was born between 1980 and 2000?
What? You don't believe that?
I don't believe that. 1, 2, okay. You guys are millennials. The millennial generation is now entering your employment sphere. They are who you will have to hire because more than 50% of the applicants in 4 years will be millennials. More than 50%. So you're going to have to woo them. You're going to have to know what they're looking for. So let's learn a little bit about them. Let's see what they really are doing. Let's see how they tick. What's important to them. They want something greater than just a paycheck. A diversified workplace is important, and the brand is everything. And what I mean by brand is the values that they value in a consumer brand are very similar to the values they value in an employment opportunity. For example, sustainability, equality, a diversified workplace, the same things that they would see in a brand out there that they may patronize, they want to see that where they work. 66% of millennials say that their employer does not know how to use social media to post their job ads. 75% say that the employer does not know how to promote their brand properly on social media. 79% use social media to hunt for a job, and if they're in their first 10 years of their career, it's 86% use social media to hunt for their job. 64% of millennials say that they would rather have a $40,000 a year job that's fun than a $100,000 a year job that's boring. 64%. 46% have left the companies they were with because there was no opportunity for growth. If you offer opportunity for growth, you can cut your attrition quite a bit. 45% search on mobile daily for job opportunities. Those who are searching are on 45% check every day on a mobile device. 80% of millennials will look at the culture and people fit with the employer before they look at career potential. They look at the culture. of what you've created out there, what you've got as your brand out there in social media. Raise your hand if your company has a Facebook page. Okay, raise your hand if your company does not have a Facebook page. Oh. All right, I'm saving that, okay. Raise your hand if you use social media to research your applicant. So about 30% of you. Well, you need to up that a little bit because the national average is 60%. 60% of employers will actually be using social media, and I'm going to tell you the safe way to do it and the right way to do it and what you're looking for and how to get more details on that. You really need to be using the social media in reverse, not just promoting your brand, but researching your applicants. But there's a safe way to do it. So there's an increase of over 500% over the last decade of employers who use social media to look at applicants. Recruiters, 93% of recruiters examine the social media accounts of their applicants. 93%. So they're obviously professionals, right? They're the ones doing this for a living. May your coworkers never find out who you truly are on the weekends. That's sort of the bottom line on that. I'm going to show you what the Don Klemper of Northern Illinois University was quoted in Forbes magazine as his way of summing this up. He says the Facebook page is the first interview. And I'm going to turn that around just a little bit, sort of on its head a little bit, okay? Because I think there's a more effective way to use the social media examination. And turning it on its head, this was not meant to be turning it on its head. Okay, so Jenny Smith obviously was not hired. 69% of applicants are rejected after somebody has reviewed their social media account. 69%. So you've already winnowed out, right? You're winnowing out a big chunk of people. And it may have been one bad post they put up there, but it could be really bad. Now, here are the legitimate reasons for disqualifying somebody or firing somebody. Background false. Now, when you're reviewing their social media account, you may not necessarily know all of the facts and statistics. You may not yet know if all of the background that they've stated on their resume that you have in the traditional method is legit or not. You may not be able to tell. Negative. If they're negative about a previous boss or a current boss, obviously that may not be the right attitude and fit for your organization. Drugs and alcohol. They posted about or actually showed images of themselves using drugs or abusing alcohol. Not using alcohol, abusing alcohol. You get to determine where that line is. I know for you guys it's way out there. Inappropriate photos or comments, all of the stuff that we do not want to see. We don't want to see haters, we don't want to see bigotry, all of that, right? So, let's see what does count. These are recruiters whose professional job is to evaluate applicants, and 93% are using social media, and this is what they're looking for. Presentation, appreciation, communication, and participation. That's how I broke it down to kind of hopefully make that a little easier to remember. That's what counts. So, guess what? Employability predictions are correlated with profile page assessments. If you had any doubts at this stage, they are correlated. This study was published in the Journal of Applied Social Psychology. Hiring hacks. How do you get all that information about your future prospective employee? You can do a Facebook search for that cell number, and then you can immediately get to their Facebook page, and you saved yourself a few steps. It makes it a lot easier, okay? Because that's the default setting. Have any of you used People for a search? No? Wow, this will be fun. All right, hack number 2, searching by email or username at people.com. All of your applicants give you an email address, right? Go to pipl.com. You enter their email address, you don't even have to put location, that's optional. It is the most comprehensive people search on the web, totally free, and it's going to yield some wonderful results for you. It's going to show you everywhere that email address was associated with any account, all right? pipl.com. It works extremely well. So let's take a look at an example. I searched for Lori.Anderson@signs.org. And up popped a beautiful page. Right there, President, CEO at International Sign Association, University of Maryland. Her username is Isaprez. We know that. It's on Twitter and everything. No passwords. Not going to reveal any passwords. I know. Nothing to hide. Nothing to hide, she said. And then it tells you her networking, her LinkedIn page, her Facebook page, the Twitter microblog account, Twixie for Twitter pics and things like that. So when you enter somebody's email address, it's going to give you a beautiful page. It's going to give you a bunch of cool stuff. One of those cool things is the username. Okay, now you got their username for your applicant, what they use out there in the world somewhere. So you now could actually enter that username in quote marks, okay? So if you enter that username in quote marks, it will show all of the places where maybe on a Craigslist ad they were selling something. Depends on where they've used that username, but they've used it a lot of places. It's probably their most common favorite username. And if there's two usernames, people will tell you that too, all right? So apparently you only have one username out there in the public. So you can do a site-specific search. So let's say it was artistgirl34 was the username. If you put in the word right after that, in quote marks, you put in SITE colon and a domain with no WW, no space between the colon and the domain, it will search only that domain. And if you've ever done a search for something and you just keep getting hundreds of Pinterest pages because you wanted something else, but the Pinterest is so out there, it just fills all of your Google searches. Instead, you would just simply put, instead of the word SITE colon, put a minus sign and then the domain name with no space. So put -Pinterest.com. And then you'll get everything else except Pinterest pages will be excluded. Okay. So these are very convenient. So if you want to check Instagram, by the way, is a very nice, wonderful, telling location. You can really get a sense of the personality and the culture fit of your applicant on an Instagram site. So if you have their username or anything related to their username, you can search just Instagram.com to pull that up. And finally, you reach that 6-month milestone. And that's when you shift from what's called on-the-job training to continuous development. So that continuous development is going to allow them to experience the growth within your organization that they are so desperately craving and needing and desiring. So if you get there, 90% have decided whether to stay or go. And if you've done a good job, you've got a keeper. So let's recap. 73% of 18 to 34-year-olds found their last job through social networks, and that's mobile. That means your job offerings need to be on mobile sites, on social media, which is naturally mobile. 49% better quality hires using social media techniques. We talked about making it the second interview, right? Vetting. Interview number 2 will be to contrast what you learn with what you find. And that vetting process will utilize some hacks as needed so that you can make sure that you have somehow a culture fit that's really going to work for everyone in your organization. And then that 6-month formal onboarding process. That is nothing to sneeze at. That's very, very, very important. And there's a photo, so I'll pause for All right. If anybody has any questions, by the way, feel free to contact me, reach out.